Hi, it's me, Seep again, with a new story by D.H. Lawrence, and the story name is The Odour of Chrysanthemum. Odour here means the fragrance or the smell, and chrysanthemums are the type of flowers that are usually used on the occasion of happiness. But as we will proceed the story, you will come to know that it's not the case in this story. So this makes the whole story and its title ironic. So let's begin with the introduction of the writer first. Let's proceed to the introduction of the writer. D.H. Lawrence, full name was David Herbert Lawrence. He was born in Nottinghamshire in 1885, which is located in England. He witnessed many difficulties because his father was a miner, so obviously there is some kind of financial setbacks in the beginning. After completing the education and early work, he eloped with a girl um whose name was Frida, and she was 6 years older than him. And before that, before D.H. Lawrence, she was married to Ernest Weekly. He was a famous philologist at that time. Um, when they eloped, he was accused of being a spy due to the tension between Germany and France. But he got freed by the intervention of Frida's father because he was a very influential man. After the incident, he spent his honeymoon with his wife, and he wrote a collection of love poems in that era. He died in 1980 in Vence, France, from the complications of tuberculosis. So, this is all about the writer. Let's proceed to the storyline. Now comes the plot of the story. The story begins with the sound of engines and noise of locomotives, and miners are working in the mines, and trains are carrying the coal out of the mines. Uh, in that scenario, a woman and a child is passing by the tracks, and there are a lot of chrysanthemums along the way. And the child is so curious, and he is plucking them and spreading them all around. Women scold him for doing that, and but she subconsciously pluck one flower and place it in the band of her apron. One of the men stopped by, and she went inside her home to make tea. She gave him bread and butter along with the tea. Later, we came to know that he was her father. Elizabeth's daughter Anne, she is very fond of flowers, and she asks Elizabeth, the woman, to stand still so she could smell the chrysanthemum. Elizabeth took it out and gave it to her, saying that she does not like the smell of it because whenever she was married, when she had her children, there were chrysanthemums everywhere, and now she is so fed up of its smell. Now it's getting late, and Elizabeth was furious on her husband, who is still not home. He has a habit of getting drunk after work hours, which Elizabeth hates. When it was dark outside, and now she is worried and angry, so she made her children sleep in their rooms upstairs, and after that she went to search for her husband after. So after getting out from her home, she went to Wrigley's house, who is a fellow of Walter, and he used to work with him in the mines. So he was home luckily, and he said that Walt was still working when they left the place. So now Elizabeth is very worried because now she knows that Walter is not at the pub. He offered his help, which Elizabeth happily accepted, so she went home and Wrigley went to search for Walter. As she was home, she started sewing clothes in order to distract herself. While doing so, there was a knock on the door. It was Walter's mother, who was crying and worried because of his son. Elizabeth first thought that his husband is dead, but his mother negated that. After some time, a group of people arrived at their door with a dead body and told them that Walter has been dead for quite a while. While he was working, something came upon him and there was no space for him to breathe. So he died because of suffocation. Elizabeth made the arrangements for the body of her husband, and both mother and Elizabeth cleaned him. While they were doing so, his mother was crying and the children upstairs are awake. Elizabeth asked him to sleep again. In the end of the story, Elizabeth is trying to figure out her relationship with the corpse and realized that they were there to bring life in the form of children. Now comes the characters of the story. The first character involved in the story is Elizabeth Bates, and she is the protagonist of the story, and basically the story is told from her point of view. Walter is Lizzie's husband who died in the end. John is her son who was walking with her in the beginning of the story. Annie is the daughter of Elizabeth Bates. Wrigley is the man who used to work with Walter and he went to find him. Grandmother is Walter's mother, basically, paternal grandmother. And manager was the man who bought the corpse of Walter at home. Now comes the places mentioned in this story. There are two places that are properly named. One of them is Yew Tree, and it's the name of the pub where Walter goes after his shift. The next place mentioned in the story is Prince of Wales, and it is the workplace where Walter works. Other than that, Wrigley's house and Walter house is also mentioned, but there is no proper named. That's it. Symbolism is also present in this story. Locomotives and engines that are discussed in the beginning represents the life of alienation and loneliness. Because of the intervention of machines, people are less connected with each other, and they are more dependent on machines than other human beings. Biblical imagery is also represented in the story through the name mentioned, like John and Annie and Elizabeth. So, this is all about the symbolism. Let's move on to the themes of the story. One of the major themes discussed in the story is life and death. How the chrysanthemums are representing the life, and how, ironically, though they are also foreshadowing the death of Walter. And after his death, there is some kind of a monologue uh, of Elizabeth. She tried to get to know the meaning of life, and in the end, she only realized that they are there to bring the children. Next theme introduced in the story is mother's love. Like the Walter's mother came running to their house because when she heard that he is not fine. And similarly, Elizabeth is also worried about her children when the cops was in their house, and she was worried about the children. Marriage is the next theme discussed in the story. Family is also one of the themes of the story. Fear and alienation is the next theme. Time is also represented, and alcoholism is also one of the theme because Walter used to drink alcohol, so it also represents death, in other words.